Welcome to the Passion Witch Project. I'm your host, Emily Stekl, pharmacist, Reiki practitioner, and Passion Witch. And on this show, we chat with folks who are leaning into what makes them wonderfully weird and following their passion. And we are joined by one of my absolute favorite human beings and conversation partners, Kristina Ellery, who is not only the founder of Sacred Earth Sanctuary, she is also an actor with many accolades to her name. Welcome, Kristina.
Thank you for having me, Emily. Great to be here, as always.
I love being in your energy. I feel like, there are some folks, I feel like most of the people that end up sitting in this chair are people with whom I feel like it's a self-charging battery, where I leave the conversation feeling more enriched, more alive, more full of all the good things than I came in with. So yes. I'm so grateful to have you, because I always feel that way with you.
Oh, same, likewise.
So I sprang this question on you just a few minutes ago, but I'm going to ask it because I think you do have an answer.
Yes.
Kristina, if you could be the best in the world at one thing, what would it be?
I would be the best at being Kristina Ellery.
Ooh, I love that. Yes, okay.
This is like the best version of self, because there's so many things, right?
Absolutely. What do you feel that, like, a couple of pieces of that look like?
The best artist. Yeah,
and you are an artist of many media.
I am.
Yeah, would you like to share with our viewers, like, some of the art that you've participated in, that you've brought to the world? Because I think it's inspiring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I grew up a dancer, actor. I'm also a painter. I've built several costumes on stilts and won some money. I sing occasionally. I play a little bit of keyboard. I mean, anything that I can do with my hands and create something.
Yeah. And I love also that you invite that from other folks too. Mm-hmm. In the space that you hold, there's always an invitation, never pressure, but always an invitation to create. And I think, like, even just your 40th birthday party, it was, like, we have to share with viewers. Could you remind us what the theme was?
It was called Night of the Living Enchanted Forest. And so you could come dressed as an enchanted, being of some sorts, fairy creature, or you could be a zombie.
Yes.
And it was
or both.
Or both, a combination of the two, which is what I did.
Yes. It was just like, it was the most beautiful. And I think that one of the things I love so much about you is that everything you do is infused with this level of care, this level of excellence, really. Like, the whole party was, it was magical. It was you, right? Your costume, and then the people assembled. You know how to show up as you to create beauty and magic. Like, it's really cool.
Thank you. And that would be the other thing. If I could be the best at something, it would be the best caretaker. Because I love caring for others and bringing joy and seeing a smile on their face.
Yeah, and I feel like you've done that in so many different ways. What are some of kind of the moments in your life that stand out that you've really been able to lean into that gift?
Well, certainly my work with Sacred Earth Sanctuary, holding space for people in sacred ceremonies where they're diving into the deepest layers of themselves and carrying them through that, not only in the room while it's happening, but also after, to help them integrate. What they've learned, because it's challenging work.
It really
and you
is.
have to be, hyper-focused on that person while they're going through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And perhaps we can share with our viewers that that the sanctuary does include work with sacred medicine,
Yes.
particularly the Psilocybin mushroom, which is a beautiful medicine. And it asks us to introspect. It asks us to grow. It asks
Certainly
us.
does. Certainly does.
Yeah.
Changed my life, that's for sure.
Yeah. And so when we talked about doing this episode, we wanted to talk about integration. And I think your journey is a beautiful illustration of what integration can look like, right? The art that you're doing, the sort of, I don't even want to call it a pivot, but the next chapter that involved building this sanctuary and then the period where we are now. Do you mind just kind of telling us a little bit of the story of that process, and then we can kind of get into the meat of the integration in your life?
So sort of the full circle.
The full circle.
So the full circle being, should I start with when I was younger, or
wherever you feel called to start?
Being in Hollywood?
No answer. Sure.
We'll start with, I was in Hollywood,
Yep.
Living some wild times out there, having a grand old time, pursuing acting and special effects makeup, but very much an unhealed version of myself. And I can look back on that and see what the problem was. And when I moved away, so I had sat with ayahuasca, which just flipped my life upside down, but in the best way, to where I needed to leave LA. But I can look back. I tried to blame Hollywood, tried to blame LA for why I needed to leave, why certain things happened to me, but it really was because I was fractured, but it took me doing a lot of work on myself to realize that it wasn't LA, it was the stuff that I hadn't dealt with, So then leaving Los Angeles and going full blown into love and light and healing, and I did that for several years where that was my primary focus, and I was still like flipping the bird at acting,
Yes.
But all of a sudden, I had done all of this work to heal, and something was missing, that creative piece, and also kind of my shadow. And this is where you can't be only love and light. There is this other part, this shadow, that we have to recognize, and we also have to love. And so when I started looking at her, that shadow, that darker piece, those unhealed pieces, I found myself wanting to be creative again. And the moment I made that, I had that realization, acting called me right back. I didn't even, it just happened. There was a casting call out of nowhere. I went. And it has just sort of continued to climb since then. But I've come full circle, and I've integrated both worlds. So it's not I'm this or that. I am all of that. I can do the sacred work and go be creative and dance with my shadow.
Yeah, I love that. Dancing with your shadow, what does that mean? It's such a lovely image.
For me,
you, yes.
For me personally, when I say I'm dancing with my shadow, I have a tendency to play darker characters. Creatures, that's kind of my niche. But that's also where I'm able to express some of those darker parts. Even though maybe I've worked through them and I've healed through it, it's still a piece of me, and I can pull that piece out and I can express it through those edgy, darker characters.
And I love the word healing. It's one of my favorite words. I think we each sort of define it differently. If you were to kind of put words to healing, how would you define it?
Healing is a process that I think we are always going through. If someone tells me they're healed, no. I'm sorry. We can heal certain areas, but there is always work to be done. There are always things that we can look at and we can improve. So healing is taking those steps to recognize maybe where our traumas are, be in a certain awareness with yourself, being able to look at yourself, being able to have compassion for yourself, and then find some tools to help you navigate anything that's maybe not sitting well in your body. Because, we're all energy. So energy can be stagnant. I mean, we certainly can make ourselves sick. And so it's finding those pieces to navigate it, like Reiki, yoga, plant medicine ceremonies, journaling, breath work. I could go on and on and on. There's so many tools. And it's not about being this perfect version of yourself. It's more about accepting yourself as you are. That's where the freedom is, really.
I love that. I mean, to not have an expectation of what you're supposed to be and just allow what is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So along the idea of integration, right? You describe at this moment, you've been able to reconnect with your shadow, your art. You've been able to bring your experience holding space, leading ceremonies. How do you feel those things come together now in your acting? I know you've come back to it full force, and I know the last time we spoke on air, we were talking about how you were hoping to bring some healing to the industry. What do you feel that has looked like? Because as you become more integrated, my hypothesis is that the sphere around you does too.
Yeah, no, that is true. As we are working things out within ourselves and living in our truth, living in our integrity, that does extend out. So the people around you are picking up on that. And it's not about telling people what to do. It's just about being. You just go be yourself and people become curious. So yeah, I'm very much...
Why do you think that is?
That people become curious?
Yeah.
Well, because somewhere deep down inside of themselves, their soul probably yearns for that same alignment and higher vibration. You know, so in the work with acting that I'm doing, I'm certainly, that is in the back of my mind to plant seeds, because I do think there are elements of Hollywood that are very broken. There are old systems that just don't work anymore. And so
And maybe they did once.
And because it was a different time. It was a different time, but there are just certain things that don't fly anymore.
Right.
And so as that starts to come apart a little bit, I am hoping to be there as a grounding presence to help folks navigate a different way of being and to be brave. Because it's going to take a lot of people being brave to take a hard look at themselves, to do the work, and that it's okay. You know, it's okay that we're not all perfect.
Yeah. What have been some moments where you've felt you had to be brave, you had to be courageous in order to live in greater alignment, in order to be more integrated?
That's a big question.
I know.
Where have I had to? I mean, I certainly have had to be brave with Sacred Earth Sanctuary, because it is, well, it's not for everybody, and people have sort of a stigma around it. But I'm a firm believer in the work that I do, and so no matter what, like, if the conversation comes up, I'm always going to be honest and truthful. Yeah, I'm trying to think about more bravery.
I wonder what it was like. Well, I'll share a brief story about my life and see if it sparks anything for you. But talk about flipping the bird at your art, right? Flipping the bird at acting while you kind of took another path for a while. I mean, the same path, but right. I had sort of flipped the bird at pharmacy as I became more curious about holistic wellness and energy healing, specifically spiritual well-being, and I was like, I'll never be a pharmacist again. Well, life had other plans, as it often does, right?
Yes.
And so I found myself getting divorced, and I had been building this business that was still young. It was still a fledgling, and it wasn't supporting me yet. And I was like, I need to go make an income, right? What did I have? I had a pharmacy degree. And so I remember it was such a moment of ego death. It was such a moment of like, girl, you don't know anything. Just allow what's going to happen and try to be loving and open during the process. And it's funny, in that ego death, I ended up finding like the best bosses I've ever had in my life. I ended up finding community and actual like friendship, like people who I spend time with outside of work through this job. But it took such courage. It took such like just a coming home moment to make it happen.
Yes, and so that does remind me, and well done, by the way. So actually, because I had left LA, I had left the film industry behind, and I had gone down such a deep path of spirituality,
Yeah.
it was scary to step back in. I had a lot of fear around what my spiritual community was going to think about me diving back in, and especially diving in and dancing with my shadow. Like, I'm going to go be a gross creature, like seriously. And so what does that look like? You know, are folks going to take me seriously as a spiritual guide if I'm off doing this? But I find that people actually really respect it. 'Cause it's my truth. I can't, it just is. And if they don't like it, well, then those aren't folks aligned to be in my sphere anyway. And also stepping back into film, I find that because I do this spiritual work, I'm surrounded by really good people. I'm not dealing with the grimier side of any of that. I'm finding the good ones, and that's been really great.
That resonance, right there. It's again, I think I'd love to hear your take on this, but you know, you mentioned how that integration, like folks who are doing the work to integrate, to be more in alignment, how there's a curiosity from others because their soul is like craving that. I think we have ways of perceiving that. I think we touched on this a little bit the last time we spoke on air. I wonder, since then, have you developed any greater insight as to how we do perceive that allows us to find ourselves in the company of other people who are juicing us up?
I mean, I think it just has everything to do with the way that you are vibrating.
Yeah, right.
Like I think
so.
collectively we are connected, and so, you know, as you shift, the folks that are in that same vibration just find you. And we might have even said that last time, but I don't even think I have a better answer than that right now.
And maybe one day we'll actually be able to like measure the vibe, right? I mean, but that word has been in our vernacular as like culturally for a while now, right?
Yeah.
The idea of a vibe.
But you'll notice too, as you raise your vibration or as you are vibing wherever you're vibing, the people that don't fall away.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be really hard. Connections that you've had for years suddenly don't work anymore.
Yeah.
And it can be devastating. And that is part of the integration process.
Yeah. How have you, I mean, this is a super personal question, feel free not to answer, but how have you navigated those relationships, like where it, you know?
Gently.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there are conversations, because of where I am at in my awareness, they're not going to hear me. Because they haven't done any work.
Right.
They're not aware of themselves. They might not be even aware of the folks around them.
Yeah.
So it's sometimes you gently let things fall off. There have been times in the beginning, like when I first started doing healing work and started, we'll say, becoming aware and awake, I did start barking my beliefs and you know, telling people, oh, you gotta do this and you'll be better. And it's like, well, now you just look a little crazy.
No, I've been there. I feel like
They
I'm
are
still there
not
sometimes.
hearing you. So you have to, you know, as you are on your own journey of self-discovery, you have to let others also be on their own journey. They are only going to meet you where they are. And you have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And it is okay. We're all here for, we've all got our purpose and our reasons for being here and learning. And
Yeah. Curiosity is such a potent tool there, right? But we're not all in a place where we can even be curious. It takes energy to be curious, right? Sometimes we're so kind of stuck in the mud, in the trenches, that like that energy just isn't available to us.
Right. Well, especially the way that society is built. Okay, the 9 to 5, the work grind that so many people have to do to survive does not allow for those moments of self-reflection or questioning or curiosity. You know, it's just go, 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 go. And this is why, you know, people talk about how important it is to meditate, because it's in those quiet moments where you're going to have those big shifts and those major epiphanies. But society's built for us to fail at that. So of course so many people are having a hard time and struggling.
Yeah.
Especially right now.
Yeah, which I think it's the other side of the broader discussion about integration. How we're being called, I think, how inevitably we are in a moment that is asking us to integrate. Like, what does that mean for you when you zoom out at that level?
Yeah, on a grand scale, collectively, we are being shown a lot of information right now, a lot of darker information, and that's because again, old systems are no longer sustaining, and that goes with government, that goes with our food industry, that goes with big pharma. There's so many areas that need work, and all of it's bubbling up and being exposed. And that is a lot of information to take in all at once. There's just an overload of information, and our brains, at least right now in our evolution, are not built to carry the weight of the world.
Yeah.
So if you haven't done any work, this is going to be really hard, because people are being just like thrown into the trenches with everything that's happening in the world right now. And not, they haven't had a taste of what it's like to regulate their nervous system, or how to process or have compassion. So it's a bit messy. And that's why it's so important that if you are at a level of awareness, keep your vibe high, keep trucking forward, because it's not like feeding and fueling fear and frustration is just creating that more dense vibration. So it's so important to keep ourselves as positive as we can. I'm not saying certainly be aware of what's going on, but don't live there in it.
The dose makes the poison.
Yes. Yes. I think it's so important to focus on self, and not in a selfish way, but in the real work and the real healing starts here, inside. And then that, like we said, resonates to the people around you. So, I've had people recently ask me, how am I supposed to navigate all of this? And I just tell them, like, are you okay?
Right.
Start there.
Start there.
If you're not okay, start there. Is your family okay? How is your community? And then let that ripple out. Again, the whole world, like, we can't carry all of that.
Immediately we're buried.
Yes.
Immediately.
Yes.
I wonder too, it's interesting, the places that you've been called to put your energy, the healing spaces, right? Because I think, especially now, the video content that we are consuming has such power to cause us to shift our awareness. Right? Certainly, we can go into an experience with a psychedelic medication, a plant medicine, with the intent to heal. But I think our art, it does it even when we're not aware that it's happening.
Yes. Yes, because most art comes from the heart.
Ooh, I never thought about that, but look, it's right in the word.
Yeah.
Art comes from the heart.
It does. So it is the extension of, like, pure expression. So that's, how do I want to say it? I mean, it's sacred. Art is sacred, pure expression. Even when it's darker art, it's still a pure expression. It's someone getting their emotions out, or, there's a purity there. And that's why we are so drawn to it. That's why art will always be there.
Yeah. Do you think that everyone is an artist?
Yeah.
How would you suggest someone who doesn't yet know what their art form is find it?
To just explore. Go try new things. Try some music. I mean, pick up a crayon. See what happens. Without thinking about it. Drop the expectation of something needing to look a certain way, and just let it flow and see what happens. That's art.
I think when we're children, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
Right? We so readily embrace the fact that we are artists. I'm just curious, do you remember the first moment you felt like, oh, I'm making art?
I started coloring very young.
Yeah.
Actually, in second grade, I was in Monster Club, which was an
Stop it! Yes. That is very formative. What a beautiful connection.
And it was all boys.
Wow.
And they would get together and they would draw monsters, and I wasn't allowed, and so I said, okay, well, I'm gonna draw a monster and I'll just show it to them. Yeah. And I blew them away, second grade, baby. And then I was part of Monster Club and I drew monsters with the boys.
I think that story speaks so strongly to the idea that sometimes you have to make the art before you feel like the artist, right? You have to do the thing and then you are the thing, right? Act in the thing and then you call yourself an actor. Write the grimoire and then you call yourself a witch, right? Sometimes the act of faith, especially in yourself, precedes the declaration or the, confidence that you, but the confidence comes from within too. Yeah. I think, I don't know if you'd agree, I think if we all approached life a little bit more with the mindset of a child, of allowing ourselves to make mistakes, to just make something that's not meant to be permanent. Yeah. To just try. Yeah.
Well, and that's so many of us, when we go into doing spiritual work and healing, we end up coming back to that piece of being a child. Because that is where our pure essence was. So whatever we were doing when we were kids, that was kind of what we were meant to be doing. Yeah. And I've come back, I've come full circle a few times.
Yeah.
And
spiral dance.
So that's always, when you're wanting to do the work, it's so good to reflect on your childhood. What did you let go of? What did you stuff away because you were worried about what other people were going to think or what your parents were telling you you're supposed to do? Find that inner child and do the thing.
Integrate them back, right?
Yes.
Hold it right back.
Integrate all
Integrate
pieces.
It all. Oh,
yes.
Kristina, thank you so much for being here
You're
with
welcome.
me today.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Such a pleasure. And so if folks were curious, they wanted to follow you, they wanted to be aware of things that you're making, how could they find you?
They can find me on Instagram. It's just Kristina Ellery. That's probably the best spot.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you next time on the Passion Witch Project.